Cal Raleigh now has the most home runs by a catcher in a single season. But how far will he take the record? And will he break a couple more along the way? We'll answer that and more coming up here on Mailbag Monday. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Monday, August 25th, 2025. This is Teddy Gonzalez and Colby Patnode for the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for two to any golf tournament in the USA. Visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament. Ends October 31st. 2025. And as always, if you want to hear from me and Colby even more and help support the show, you can check out our Patreon. All you have to do to check that out is click the link in the description of this episode. All right, let's open up the mailbag like we do here every Monday and answer some of your Mariners questions, starting with Dolphin MJF, who wants to know, with Emerson Hancock touching 99 coming out of the bullpen in AAA, is there a chance we see him getting recalled as a reliever for the playoff push? I assume that's the reason that they are ramping him up as a reliever. Yeah, with the intention of calling him up here in, I don't know, a week or so.
The velo will help, certainly, but it's the lack of, secondary stuff that is going to prevent Hancock from being a high leverage arm, unless, the slider magically jumps and is consistent, because we've seen the slider jump for an inning here and there. But
that's all you need it for in this instance.
Right, but it's one inning and then it goes away for the next three starts. And then you need that one inning every single time you go out there.
Yeah.
So, we'll have to see. I'm not expecting any miracles. The velo up is not something that surprises me, but did the slider get better? Is the changeup going to play up more? I don't know the answer to those questions, but unless both of those things or one of those things at least is significantly improved, I don't think Hancock is going to be anything super special out of the bullpen. I don't know if he's going to make a playoff roster coming out of your bullpen, but he could help the middle innings and kind of stabilize things and kind of be the JT Chargois of just the guy who starter goes 5 2/3. We could really use a ground ball here. I'm going to go to him and he'll get us to the back end guys, when we're up 3-1 or whatever. So I do think there's potential role here, but obviously, they're planning on putting him on the major league roster.
Absolutely. And if he can tap into that velo consistently, and I'm talking about outing to outing and less, pitch to pitch, and be able to get to the top rail with some regularity, then he'll actually be able to get to his best pitch, which is the changeup. And hopefully that leads to some ground balls and kind of becomes, in a way, the right-handed Caleb Ferguson. This team could really use that. So I'd say that I'm intrigued by it. And I think there's a legitimate chance to actually get value out of Emerson Hancock this way. So we'll see.
Maybe. Yeah, it is noteworthy and something to keep an eye on.
All right, next question here from Anonymous. Which of the following records will Cal Raleigh break? Mickey Mantle's switch hitting record, which is 54 home runs. Ken Griffey Jr.'s Mariners single season home run record, which is 56 home runs, done twice by the kid. And Aaron Judge's AL record, which is 62. Set a couple of years ago. We all remember the Frankie Lasagna home run. So where does he ultimately land? Which of these records is he going to break? I think he's going to break Mickey Mantle's record. I kind of feel like he winds up at 55, or maybe ties Griffey.
I don't think he's catching Griffey.
Okay.
8 home runs in 30 games is a lot.
Seen him do it before multiple times.
I mean, he's had, 4 months of 10 plus home runs, so he can certainly do it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying we're into September now, or we're getting to the dog days. Cal's caught a ton of baseball games. And, the home runs kind of come and go. So, if you don't hit a home run for a week, you're pretty much toast on that front. So, Cal has to be hitting a couple homers a week, every week, till the end of the season to catch Griffey. Now, obviously, he hit 2 yesterday. So, if you hit 2 in a game every week, you're in good shape. But, and Cal is starting to dial it in a little bit. as well. He had that dip right when Judge went out, and then for the last, I don't know, week or so, he's been really good. And not just with the home runs, just overall, he looks much better at the plate.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's impossible that he gets to Griffey. I just think he probably breaks Mantle's record, and then I don't think he beats Griffey. Maybe he can tie it, but that's a lot of home runs to hit in a month.
So you think 55 or 56?
Yeah, probably somewhere in that range.
Yeah, that's about where I'm at. I think saying that he gets 6 or 7 the rest of the way is pretty reasonable. Could he get more? Absolutely. We've seen him do that multiple times this season. I've learned at this point with Cal not to rule anything out. So honestly, even if he were pushing 60 by the end of this, and we're talking about, with a week and a half to go, like, hey, there's this outside shot that he might actually, challenge Judge's record. I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about that for sure.
I mean, he had 3 home runs in the last 3 games last year to break the, whatever that record was, most home runs by a catcher in their first 4 seasons or whatever. So,
yeah.
Cal's got a flair for the dramatics, but I feel very comfortable in saying he's not breaking Judge's record.
Yeah, it would be a lot. It'd be a lot. So I think the reasonable
30 games.
Yeah, I think the reasonable place to land would be 55 in between the Mantle and the Griffey record, and there's obviously a very real possibility though that he's going to walk away from this season as the Mariners leader in single season home runs. All right. We will answer more of your questions here in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is once again brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. All right, folks, it's time to fuel up and turn it up with 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. This grape, ginger, and lime flavored shot brings the iconic taste of a golf course favorite to a non-alcoholic boost. Perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Whether you're out on the course or just need a little extra push to power you through your day, 5 Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse flavor you love without ever leaving the green. In golf, is all about good times with good people and good flavors. The grape, ginger, lime flavor 5 Hour Energy Transfusion gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without leaving the course or chasing down the bev cart. And now you can amp up the fun even more. Just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for 2 to any golf tournament in the USA. Tee up that trip. Visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters Tournament. Ends October 31st, 2025. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. For instant reactions following every Mariners game, be sure to tune into the Mariners postcast with Anderson Hurst and Christopher Crawford, available on both the Locked On Mariners YouTube and podcast feeds. Locked On has also put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcasts even better. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Link in the description. All right, let's get back into your questions here on Mailbag Monday. Nick wants to know, can Harry Ford be that much worse of a catcher to still justify Mitch Garver on the roster?
Yeah, he could be.
Yeah. I think this is less of a talent thing, though, and more about, do I trust this guy to learn this pitching staff and call critical innings and critical games as a rookie?
Yeah, it's possible Ford could be that much worse than Garver to not justify the spot, but ultimately, there's really no reason, because right now the only way you can move Garver off this roster is to DFA him. And let's say you do that, right? And on September 15th, Cal breaks his thumb. Now he'll probably try to play through it, but let's say he can't. Now all of a sudden your catching situation heading into the playoffs, hopefully, is Harry Ford and Blake Hunt. Ugh. Yeah. Like, no. So there's no reason to DFA Garver this late into the year. Could you make the argument for calling up Ford and having him be the primary backup and then Garver kind of more of a bench pure DH role against lefties? Sure, I guess. But overall, I want Ford on the roster, but it really doesn't have all that much to do with Mitch Garver, to be honest with you, because I still think Garver would be the primary backup catcher.
Yeah.
I just want that option to have the third catcher so that, I don't know, maybe Dan will ask Mitch Garver to get a hit against Brian Abreu instead of using Dom Canzone or Luke Raley, because, oh no, what if Cal, takes a foul ball off the mask in the bottom of the 8th inning, and I don't have a catcher for an inning, like,
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah. So to answer the question, yeah, he could actually be worse than Garver. We don't know. I suspect he wouldn't be, but he might be. We don't know.
Tuba wants to know, who do you think picks up Dylan Moore? Somehow I think it will be Texas. I mean, Texas has picked up a lot of Mariners guys. I don't think it'll be Texas in this situation, though. This screams Dodgers to me.
I say there's one of two teams that this is. This is one of two types of teams.
Yeah.
This is either the team that picks somebody up and immediately turns them into the best version of themselves, i.e. the Dodgers, maybe the Rays, somebody like that. You're just like, yeah, that guy's a nobody. And then you look up and you're like, oh, cool. Yeah, no, that guy's going to hit 300 for the rest of the year with a 400 on base. Cool. Yeah, no. So the Dodgers, Rays, maybe. Or it's the stupidest teams you can think of who are going to think this is my everyday shortstop for the rest of the year, and we're going to play him, which screams Angels, Rockies, those morons.
Sure.
So I don't know. For some reason, I've always pictured Dylan Moore as a Dodger.
Yeah. I can just easily see it. I can see him going 10 for his first 15 with like 4 bombs. We're getting questions on a Mailbag Monday in a couple weeks here about like, why couldn't they figure it out with Dylan Moore? How is it that the Dodgers could figure it out with, all that?
The Dodgers are going to sign him, and then they're going to DFA Michael Conforto and just eat the rest of that money because the Dodgers are, care about winning the World Series. So,
yeah.
But I would watch like the White Sox and the Angels, seriously.
Yeah, I could see it being a team that's like, let's just get him in here. Let's see if we can make a fix. And then if we like what we see, then we'll re-sign him.
Yeah, you sign him to like a 1-year, $2 million deal.
Yeah.
That screams White Sox. Who just DFA'd or just released, actually, Josh Rojas.
I'm coming home.
That's right.
No, thank you. First and foremost on that. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Sorry
Dylan Moore just played an entire season for you.
Sorry to the homies out there. But no. All right. Josh wants to know, have the seasons that Cal and Randy are currently having in a roundabout way made Julio's season actually kind of feel underrated?
It's an interesting question. Because I think you could probably say, like, just in general, Julio Rodriguez is underrated.
Yep.
You might also argue, depending on who you're talking to, you're overrating Julio Rodriguez. Like, we talked about Julio a lot, and we know how polarizing he is amongst this fan base. But in general, I do think Julio is underrated, for the most part.
Yeah.
By his own fan base. Obviously, there's the handful who think he can do no wrong ever. But yeah, he's having a really nice year, and he's probably going to be 5.5, 6 win player again. He's on a nice heater right now. He has been for the last, month or so. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like, I think because Julio isn't taking like super obvious leaps every year, he's kind of stagnated, quote unquote. And so people are just kind of expecting this, and they're not marveling at the idea that, like, yay, this guy's 24 years old, and he might be on his way to his second 30-30 season already. And he's a Gold Glove caliber center fielder, and he's a, plus speed with the elite arm. And like, yeah, I mean, we're going to look up at the end of the year and Julio's going to hit 30 home runs, and we're going to be like, oh, that's wow. Okay. I think in a way, Julio just in general is overrated. And then obviously because Cal has kind of become the superstar in Seattle.
You mean underrated?
Overnight. What's that?
Julio's underrated, not overrated.
Yeah. Underrated. Yeah. And I think, this year, because Cal kind of became the superstar of the team kind of overnight, just out of nowhere, it's kind of made us even kind of lose or appreciate Julio even less. So, and that's not to say that Cal doesn't deserve all the superstardom and all that talk whatsoever. Of course he does. But I do kind of feel like Cal's a little I don't know or Julio's a little underrated. I don't know if Randy really factors into that all that much, but.
Well, what I would say is Randy having what might be a career year, Cal having what is at this point, I think we can say the greatest catcher season of all time. The additions of Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suarez the arrival of Cole Young, all these things have contributed to just taking a lot of weight off of Julio's shoulders and taking a lot of the attention off of Julio. And Julio doesn't have to be the guy. And that's great because we talked about how much that weighs on Julio and how much at times he feels the need to do too much. And it's also nice to not have a billion questions every Mailbag Monday about what's going on with Julio. And so, now it's just like with all the attention on Cal and Randy, it's like, oh, if Julio also does something, it kind of feels like a bonus in a way. All right. We are going to answer more of your questions in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. I'm taking Lamar Jackson to not only win the MVP, but also finally get over the hump in January to take the Ravens all the way. And if you disagree, you can visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. It's Mailbag Monday. Let's answer a couple more of your questions and get out of here. Langston wants to know, what do you do about right field when Victor Robles gets back from his suspension? Does he only hit against left-handed pitching? It seems a little redundant to have 3 right fielders on the roster at the same time.
No, I don't think that having 3 right field onlys is really a thing, because you still have the DH, you still have first base, you still have center field, where you're probably going to want to give Julio a day off here and there. And we don't really know right now. We haven't seen Dom Canzone in quite a while, so we don't know how he's doing health-wise. Probably not all that well, and he might be headed for the IL. Raleigh hasn't played pretty much at all. One start since he's been recalled, and he's probably not playing tonight with Sears on the bump. So, yeah, great job by the Mariners of calling up a guy and then having him sit for a week straight. Genius stuff. So yeah, and then we still don't know how long or when Victor Robles' suspension is going to take place.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of question marks there. So there's a decent chance you don't have 3 right fielders on your roster at the same time for another week or so, because we don't know when Canzone's coming back. Clearly, they're never going to use Raleigh against a lefty, and Robles still has a suspension to serve, and we don't know how long that's going to be or when. So it might be a couple weeks away before we get to the spot. But this is where you need roles, right, more than positions. And Robles against lefties makes sense. Canzone against righties makes sense, but there's also the DH where you can give Raleigh at bats against righties instead of Polanco, or you can give Canzone at bats against righties instead of Polanco, and you can upgrade your defense in right field. Instead of going to Canzone out there, now it's Robles or it's Raleigh. Like you can mix and match. You can have some interesting lineups here. And again, because you have guys who can legitimately play center field now, which you basically haven't had for the last month. You have the opportunity to give Julio DH days or give him a day off, God forbid. It's one of those things where it's not like you have 3 Dom Canzones defensively, like who probably shouldn't even be playing right field, but they have to play somewhere, and so you put them in right field. Like Raleigh is at least an average defender in the outfield, and Robles is a plus defender in the outfield at all 3 spots.
Yeah.
So there's really not a logjam of right fielders, as you put it, because again, Raleigh can play all 3 spots, and Robles can play all 3 and is actually a plus in center, which is a big help there. And so, and again, you still have DH at bats to give. You might even have some first base at bats to give. So there's really not a logjam in right field.
So like you said, you can mix and match. What you can't do though is allow guys to go, 5-6 days or so without playing. So you got to make sure that, and also you want to make sure that you're not randomizing it every single day where guys don't know, on a day-to-day basis where they're going to play, if they're going to play, where in the lineup they're hitting, blah, 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 blah. Like you want to try and create some sort of consistency as well. So it's a balance. But yeah, there are a bunch of ways that you can get Raleigh into the lineup or Canzone into the lineup, whoever you think is kind of like the guy on the outside looking in. Right now, it seems like very clearly that's Raleigh once Canzone is healthy. There's still ways that you can get Raleigh into the lineup. You can give Jorge Polanco a day off and get him in a DH spot. You can give Cole Young a day off and get him in the DH spot. You can give Randy a day off. You can give Julio a day off. You can, give Canzone or Robles a day off, etc.
You can give JP a day off and have Cole Young play shortstop and have Polanco play second, and then there's the DH open for you. Like, there's plenty of opportunities.
Yeah. So, you just, again, you have to strike that balance of creating consistency for guys, but also, making sure that you give all these guys ample playing time. Because again, like someone like Luke Raley, we know how good Raley can be. That's someone that should be in the lineup with some sort of regularity.
Yes. We also know how difficult it is for Raley to produce when he's not getting consistent at-bats. Remember last April?
Mm-hmm.
And then once he finally started to play every day, things started to click, and he was one of your best hitters by the end of the year. So there's really no reason you can't give all three of those guys at least 4 starts a week.
Yeah.
Just between DH, first base, right field, left field, center field. You can get all those guys probably 4 starts a week and do it in favorable matchups even for the most part, and really only take away maybe 1 start a week from somebody who's currently in the starting 9.
Yeah.
So, it's not really a thing.
All right. Last question of the day comes from Night Runner. What do you think is the next roster move? I see that Cole Young was tried at shortstop today or yesterday. Canzone didn't play, so can they still IL Canzone? Would you? They could call up Rivas or Samad Taylor. Rivas can play second base / shortstop. Taylor can play second base / outfield. They actually played Samad at shortstop the other day too, down in Tacoma. Would I IL Canzone? I don't think there's a need for it. I mean, I don't know how his wrist is doing, so I would defer that decision to the Mariners, obviously, because we're not behind closed doors. We don't know how his healing is going. I think, though, Canzone not playing and Robles playing the last couple of days is more just a matter of let's just squeeze whatever juice we can get out of Robles right now until his suspension happens. Let's get him in a row. Yeah, plus 3 lefties. Like, let's just get him in the swing of things. Let's get him up here for a couple of games before he has to go on a suspension. All
give
that.
Canzone as much rest as we can while the wrist heals.
Exactly. I think it was more a matter of that rather than just Canzone can't go. So I don't think they'll IL Canzone, and I think if he needed an IL stint, that would have happened already because they've passed the point of being able to make it retroactive to the first day of his injury, right? Yeah, that's already passed. Sure. Yeah, so I don't think it would make sense now in hindsight to do that. They should have done it a couple of days ago if they were going to do that. So I assume that Robles' suspension is going to come down here in the next day or two, and then Canzone will go back into the role that he was serving in before Robles showed up or before the injury happened. So what is the next roster move, or what is the roster move once rosters expand? Probably Rivas.
Yeah, I mean, Miles Mastrobuoni is also a possibility. He played shortstop yesterday in Tacoma, I believe. So, obviously the Mariners like him. They know him. I think, there is kind of this battle happening behind the scenes right now between Rivas and Taylor and maybe Mastrobuoni for that call up. Now, I think it probably should be Harry Ford. I don't think there's much more you can ask from the guy. But because of just kind of, again, Donovan Solano being a backup anywhere but first base, I mean, for Donovan Solano's spot on the team, we could debate whether or not he should have it, but it seems like they're going to carry that through to the end of the year now. So, I mean, once Robles' suspension is over, because remember, they have to play a man down during that stretch. So, I mean, they can still call somebody up once rosters expand, but whatever. I think it's between Taylor, Rivas, and Mastrobuoni more than likely. I would give it to Rivas because I trust him more defensively in the infield. I think he's going to get on base at a higher clip than the other two. He's a switch hitter, so that's a value that I don't get with the other two guys. Taylor might be, the most upside, and obviously Mastrobuoni has the most floor because he's, been in the majors and he's been fine and he's giving you some good at bats and all that. Like that's probably more of a comfort level there with Mastrobuoni than the other two guys. But I think when you look at the switch hitting element, you look at the ability to get on base, to play some good defense in multiple spots and all that. I think Rivas is the answer there to get called up for that extra spot. If somebody gets hurt, it's different. Like, I don't know, maybe Canzone does need the IL at that point. Do they call up Harry Ford? Do they call up, one of the outfielders that's down there? Do they try to get with Leody Taveras? Probably not. But I think the call up move should probably be Leo Rivas based on the way the roster looks right now.
Yeah. I think that's he's the best player that you have right now outside of Harry Ford, obviously, down in Tacoma.
But Rivas can play 3 spots for you. And 3 spots where you don't really have a backup.
Well, and if we're talking about just optimizing your roster, putting the best 26 guys you have in your organization on the roster at the same time, I think Leo Rivas is one of those guys. All right, that is going to do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. For Colby Patnode, I'm Titan Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Titan Gonzalez and Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. We're also on Blue Sky. You can follow me at TDG, Colby at MLB Colby, and the show at Locked On Mariners. You can also find us on Instagram at Locked On Mariners. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.